Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is David. In these next couple episodes, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, how I came to know the Lord, and then some events that happened in my life that literally shook me, caused me to really trust and depend on the Lord at an entirely new level. I experienced a lot of fear, a lot of scary moments where my world could have been drastically changed. And so, in these next couple episodes, I hope you enjoy these stories and I hope they encourage you wherever you're at and I hope they build your faith. So, check it out. Welcome to the Kingdom Narrative Podcast. I'm David and this is Sam, and we're your hosts.
Hello.
And so, today on the podcast, we're going to be sharing a little bit about our stories. This has been something we've been thinking about doing for years, and then we finally are here.
Yeah.
We finally have got the table, we got the mics, we got the cameras, and we're doing it.
We got a camera. I don't know if we have cameras, but the Lord uses the little.
Don't despise the day of small beginnings.
Hello.
And so we want to use this podcast to just introduce ourselves, let you know our story, who we are, why you should even listen to us, because we could be.
We probably are. Whatever you're thinking, we probably are. But with that being said, this is the pre-story to the narrative of the kingdom. In our opinion, it makes sense for us to let you know who we are. We want to give you context for why we think the way we think, right? Why we believe that Jesus is the only answer for the world forever and always. Not today, but forever and always. He's been the answer. He always was the answer. And how the way that life has given us curveballs have shaped our existence with the Lord. Yeah. So you would say that we have a common understanding of the kingdom based on experiences with the Lord. Yeah. And we want to share those experiences today and for the next few weeks, because one thing we're going to do is we're going to keep it short and sweet. We work in church ministry, so we understand, when the pastor says I'm almost done, but it's an hour left. We're not those people. We are going to break this down to where these are some promises we can make to you right now. We're going to have nothing longer than a 20-minute episode unless it's a special circumstance. Yeah. Anytime it's us speaking, it may be only 12 to 14 minutes because we don't want to give you so much information that you can't go home with it. The thing that we've learned in our church's experience is that it's more powerful to get something to go home with and work out with your own salvation. Like, the word says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Yeah. But if I give you everything that I've gone through and give you every step, how can we actually go home and do anything with it? So with that being said, those are kind of the principles we're trying to have foundationally set. Yeah. But right now, we need to get to know each other. Me and David have been walking along each other for about 5 years now through different circles. But the last 3 years, we've really gotten close through some shared experiences. And we're going to start with David's story about, who he is. Yeah. So I'm 30. Am I 30? I don't want to think about how old you are.
Bro, that 2020 has
Is it 2020 or is it 2060? That's the question.
So, yeah, I'm David. I'm married. I have a 2-year-old girl. Her name's Elise. And, I grew up in San Antonio, moved to Houston when I was 18. And then some of the difficult things I've had to overcome in my life, and really the Lord has brought me through these things. But when I was 6, my dad died of pneumonia. And so this was like a year after my parents had divorced and they'd split up. And my dad was living on his own in an apartment, and he passed away. And that was a shock to me as a 6-year-old boy growing up without a dad. So my mom raised me and my sister, just single parent home, worked long hours, was at work 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. And during that whole time, I became I was a super shy person. I would go days where I wouldn't talk to people. Like I'd be at school and I just didn't want to talk to people. I just was like a shell of a person. Yeah. And then one day I play guitar, and so I was 14, and my cousin invited me to come play guitar for like the worship band at summer camp. And I grew up.
Oh, the summer camp days.
Yeah, and I grew up Catholic, so like we didn't know, like I didn't know any worship tunes.
Oh, because
I didn't know any worship songs.
Stand up, sit down.
Oh yeah,
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Or any song was like I can't even sing it. It was like a chant kind of thing. I'm not gonna try and chant.
I don't want you to chant. No one here wants you to chant, okay?
But hey, I bless Catholic people. Anyways, so that experience radically changed me. And I remember I was sitting in a little small group session, and the question asked was, does where you come from determine where you're going? And that was such a big question for me, because I'd always been labeled as like this kid who grew up without a dad, who was going to be super messed up. I mean, my whole family was concerned for me, and they tried to put male figures in my life and all this kind of stuff. And so I just kind of grew up with the idea that I'm not going to be normal, and there's something wrong with me because of my dad not being in my life. And so that was when I really, really came to the Lord. And that's where I feel like I really just established my relationship with him, understanding that he can take me in a different direction.
Would you say that you made a choice to believe what you figured out was his truth in that moment?
Yeah. I chose to believe that he was going to fulfill that father figure in my life. And the second that I believed that, it was like I remember it was like my eyes were opened, and I remember going back into my school and just sharing the gospel. Like I became this like preacher. I started leading the Bible study group, and I started playing on the worship band at some church. My mom didn't even go to a church, and so I just started living there, and just like it was just something that happened in me, and it just like burst out.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So before you got to that point, what was the atmosphere, or what was the like everyday existing in the house before summer camp? And then how did that choice that you made in that time when you were at summer camp change your home? You've already spoken to, you became this preacher. You were able to start sharing the gospel and really seeing some results from that in terms of who you were. But was, because I know dealing with grief and death, even though your mother and your father were separated, if you were in a place that you weren't talking, you would go days without talking. Was it was it a recognizable difference in the household after you made that choice? Was there a shift there, or was it the same and you were just different?
Yeah, I mean, our whole household kind of changed once that happened to me, and there was just kind of an airing, like a lightness in our home, and it really opened a relationship between me and my mom, where I was very open with her about how I felt about my dad passing away, and even helping her kind of work through her grief. And that's even still a process to this day. But that was a huge thing that we kind of had to walk through together.
Okay. That's a pivotal moment of your life that helped shape you for a long time. But there's another pivotal moment that we know of, because it's a shared experience that we've had. In terms of your wonderful wife, Micah, the mother of your amazing daughter. That doesn't really like me too much, but she's learning. She's learning how to know people, but it's okay. We have a time where she looks at my beard and she's okay, and then I say hello to her and she runs away. But that's neither here nor there. So because I want to help, I don't want to jump to this experience.
Yeah.
But I would like to know if there was any other key moments. So you became a preacher, you helped your mom shift into where she could be more open with you. That relationship, as I know, has been so strong even to this day. She's really in your life and your wife's lives. So you go into ministry at a certain level. At what age? What age would you say I went into ministry?
14.
So 14, and then Did you do college? Did you do straight? What was worship band? Like what was going on with that?
I dropped out of college twice. I produced 2 albums when I was 18.
Okay.
And so
okay.
Used my financial aid money to buy studio gear and did that whole thing for a while. And then I wound up at a church in Sugar Land, served a number of years doing media, youth, pastor, young adult stuff. And then I met my wife. I started volunteering for an anti-trafficking organization called Elijah Rising. And so that was a big step for me to kind of come out of, being on staff at a church. And my wife and I just partnered together and gave our lives to, furthering this ministry. So I came on as a marketing director, and to speak to the kind of the situation that you were talking about with what happened to my wife, we deal with a very kind of dark topic, sex trafficking. It's we've heard like horrific stories, and it's just it's a evil thing. But my wife was she's always been so great at just like sharing the brutal reality of trafficking, but also sharing the hope. And really what the kingdom does is when the kingdom comes, that's like sex trafficking is not going to be a thing. But for right now we struggle with it. And so she was at a church and we were just sharing with them about what we do. And the second she began to share, she dropped dead on stage.